Okay, and now let's dive into it. So first, I'm going to start with a bit of a refresher on how Easyling can serve translations. As you already know, we have the proxy, the server-side translation, whether or not it's served through a subdirectory or a subdomain. There are advantages to this sort of translation delivery. First off, with the runtime under our complete control, we can guarantee correct operation of the system at all times. And with this complete control, we have much greater power over the output. So we can accommodate more of the edge cases, more of the features that today's interactive websites and web applications require. This also makes the proxy incredibly versatile. There's very little in terms of what you can throw at it that it can't handle. However, server-side translation does come with a few downsides. First off, it's a proxy, which means the site passes information through a third party. There might be clients who are not particularly happy about this because they're extremely privacy conscious, they're operating under certain legal restrictions or other constraints that prevent them from just exposing their content to the internet at large. Also, the server alters the data in recognizable patterns. I'm sure every one of you have had to deal with IP-based filtering or user agent-based bans that affected delivery of the translated websites. All of these are down to data passing through the proxy and being altered so that it becomes possible to counteract our efforts. And lastly, in terms of cost, if the site is constructed in certain ways, if it's very highly trafficked, then it's possible that costs will outweigh the benefits. This is where our new-old development of client-side translation comes in. In this case, all the translation happens right in the user's browser, right on their machine. Because of this, it's more private. There is no communication with third parties. So it might be a good fit for the aforementioned privacy-conscious companies or companies that are operating on intranets or within certain legal restrictions. Also, because there is no communication, because the translations are served once to the browser and done very cheaply, it's more economical. In fact, it's free once the translations are complete. And it's also more discreet. The remote server doesn't recognize that translation is taking place. However, along with these advantages, the same disadvantages can apply. Because it happens in the user's browser, the runtime is outside of our control. This means competing extensions, exotic browsers, security settings, etc. They can interfere very, very easily with the system. And although we've gone to great lengths to make it armored and foolproof, it can be counteracted. It can be interfered with. It's also less adaptable. There's only so much we can do with JavaScript. We cannot alter data in such in-depth or wide-ranging ways that we can on the server side. But there is one common point to both this and server-side translation, and that's Google visibility. We've gone to great lengths to make sure that even the client-side translation system is visible to Google, and the crawler can index the translated pages, which makes both of them equally SEO friendly. Now, there are advantages, there are disadvantages to both, which means there are certain use cases where the proxy is a better choice. The proxy can translate almost any sort of website effectively, but it really shines when it comes to static marketing websites, which are translated once and don't really change a lot. The same goes for information pages. Both of these can be cached very effectively and delivered very cost effectively and very rapidly. It's also almost a requirement when it comes to web applications because the proxy is better equipped to handle AJAX calls, dynamic content, to handle the communication data passing back and forth between the server. On the other hand, in-browser translation really shines when it comes to legally restricted sites. For instance, a website whose owners are prohibited by law from using a proxy or from storing data, let's say, outside the country borders. It's also useful when it comes to intranet or heavily access controlled sites, because we do not need permanent access to the site in order to translate it. It's possible to set up a gateway, just run a crawl, and once the translation is complete, shut down that gateway and restore security and peace of mind to the IT team. And finally, which I'm also going to show in my examples, it's very fitting for web shops, secure, highly shops where the data doesn't have to pass through a third-party proxy and be all for compatibility with the web shop, for instance, Shopify, which I'm going to show in a minute. Now that I've outlined the business cases, when to use which method, let's dive a bit into how the system actually works. What's important to realize here is that client-side translation is not a completely new. It's just a mode of publishing. The difference is only in how these translations are served compared to the regular proxy-based translation. It's powered by a one-liner loader script that Easyling provides for you, although this same script can be downloaded once it's retrieved and served directly as part of the client's website. The translations themselves are prepackaged. They exist as prepackaged files. You may have seen in Balázs's screenshots references to client-side translation exports. These are the packaged, prepared dictionaries that are used to translate the site. And because these are very well cacheable and very efficiently retrievable, we have elected to serve them at no cost whatsoever. Just like the loader script, however, they can be downloaded and served locally as part of the website deployment. As you will see in a minute or so, the system itself is configured by a specialized query. Once you go to a page with this query, the language choice itself is persisted in the browser, and it will survive reloads, refreshes of the website. It will survive through new windows or tabs, but what it will not survive through is persistence across different devices. This sort of storage is not universally supported, at least not yet. So if you select a language on your laptop, it's not going to be available, at least not right away. Now, you've seen the old export dialog in Balázs's presentation a few minutes ago. In order to make use of client-side translation export, you will have to make a little trip to the old dashboard for now. But after that, publishing and what I like to call version can be done from the new dashboard. On the left, you see the old export dialog pre-configured for client-side translation exports. Once you click export here and it completes, the file becomes available in the previous export screen on the new dashboard. Then it's just a matter of clicking publish from the actions menu and providing the client with the one-liner loader stub. They insert that into their website, into their template, and immediately the translations are ready to be accessed. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a video is worth 1,000 pictures. So I prepared a short recording to show you live how the system works. I'll be using a guest account to simulate a brand new visit loading the English language page for the very first time. Now I'm going to go to the language selector and bring up the machine translated Japanese page. Note the script has added a new query up there, but I can refresh the page as many times I want and the translations will still be there, although the flash of English is to be expected depending on the speed of the browser. But here's the kicker. I can remove the query from the URL, and after hitting enter, the translations are still there. This shows that my language choice has been persisted in the browser, and no matter how many times I visit the page or reload the page, it's always going to appear in Japanese for me. And to finish up, I reselect English to restore the original language, and I can still remove the query, and the translations will no longer show up because my new language choice has been persisted. Now, no matter how many times I visit the page, now it's always going to appear in English. But that's not all the client-side translator system can do. I mentioned that it's uniquely suited to translating web shops. Here you can see a demo Shopify cart. Everything is translated, and as far as the system itself is concerned, in this case Shopify, it's all in order. There are no extra headers, no configuration to worry about, since all the requests are happening from an already configured, already approved origin. And because the proxy is not in play here, caches, user-specific content, etc., will not be causing any headaches. And now I'm going to pull back the curtain and give you a peek behind it, what's powering the entire system. At the top, you can see the loader itself. This one-liner is all it takes to include client-side translation in the web page. Note that it says app.easyling.com, but it can be used from any white label domain, or it can be hosted by the client internally and deployed as part of the website itself. Just below it, see how I constructed the language selector that you saw in the example page. Written this way because it's only adding a query parameter, it naturally preserves the page the user was looking at, but it can also be written to send the client to a pre-localized language-specific greeting page. In conclusion, the key point that I want everyone to take home from this presentation is this. What we have here is a new old tool that allows you to approach clients who were previously out of bounds for you because of the various restrictions they have to abide by or the various rules that govern them. With this system in hand, these clients are now up for grabs, and you can go out and approach them.